Why no? Leaders are outperforming yes leaders in the workplace. Abstract. This practitioner-oriented brief examines the emerging no leadership approach and argues that leaders who judiciously use constraints through intentional no's are outperforming their more yes-focused counterparts. As reviewed, empirical research shows saying no more thoughtfully fosters greater employee creativity, problem-solving, accountability, autonomy, and engagement, translating to better business outcomes like increased productivity and financial performance, illustrated through examples from leading organizations in technology, manufacturing, and healthcare that have cultivated innovation, quality, and learning through policies providing autonomy balanced with oversight, demonstrating that judicious no's activate higher-order thinking when used to set boundaries rather than stifle initiative, concluding that drawing on over 20 years of experience, today's knowledge workers require leadership approaches supporting empowerment and responsibility over top-down control, and reframing occasional no's can foster critical thinking, ownership, and adaptability, essential for organizations competing in rapidly changing environments. As business environments continue to evolve at an accelerating pace, leadership styles must also adapt to meet the demands of these changing times. Over my 20 years working with Fortune 500 companies and conducting academic research, I've noticed a shift towards what some label as no leadership. While traditional top-down, autocratic styles may have worked in the past, today's knowledge workers require a different approach, one focused more on empowerment, transparency, and responsibility. Today, we will explore the research supporting why leaders who say no more judiciously and intentionally are outperforming their yes-saying counterparts. Embracing constraints can foster more creativity, accountability, and engaged employees. By granting appropriate autonomy balanced with oversight, no leaders cultivate higher levels of ownership, problem-solving, and innovation across their organizations. Clarifying the concept of no leadership. Before diving into the research, it's important to first define what is meant by no leadership. At its core, this leadership approach is not about saying no constantly or being overly restrictive. Rather, it focuses on using no judiciously and intentionally when needed to set boundaries, manage resources wisely, and encourage critical thinking. Gino and Stats, 2015. A no leader says yes to delegating responsibility while maintaining oversight. They say no to micromanaging details and trusting employees can solve challenges on their own. They say no to indulging requests without justification, but yes to explaining rationales transparently. Stats, Dai, Hoffman, and Milkman, 2017. Ultimately, the goal is fostering greater independence balanced with direction, not stifling creativity or shirking accountability. Research foundation for no leadership outperformance. Numerous studies provide empirical support that no leaders can outperform their yes counterparts. Creativity and problem-solving. Saying no more intentionally prompts people to think beyond initial ideas. Gino and Stats, 2012. By withholding automatic approval, no leaders encourage employees to explore alternatives and think more deeply about solutions, fostering more innovative outcomes. Accountability and ownership. Hearing no promotes a sense of responsibility and pushes individuals to justify requests. Kuchaki, Smith-Crow, Brief, and Sosa, 2013. No leaders make people accountable for their work by taking on challenges independently rather than constantly seeking guidance or approval. Autonomy and engagement. Providing constraints balanced with autonomy stimulates motivation. Jensen and Gao, 2015. No leaders delegate substantial responsibilities while maintaining oversight, cultivating a sense of empowerment in employees to solve problems on their own terms. Performance and productivity. Recent research shows companies led by no leaders tend to outperform financially, as constrained work environments activate higher-order cognitive processing. Stayitz, Day, Hoffman and Milkman, 2017. The bulk of evidence demonstrates that judicious use of no, when warranted, fosters more responsible, innovative, and engaged employees, translating to better overall business outcomes. Applying no leadership in practice. To bring these concepts to life, consider how different industries have embraced no leadership approaches. Technology. At Google, the 70/20/10 model encourages spending 70% of time on core responsibilities, 20% on collaborating with others, and 10% on personal projects, giving autonomy within clear boundaries. Neck and Hutton, 2006. This fosters innovation through experimentation while maintaining accountability. Similarly, 3M embraces a 15% rule, allowing employees to devote work hours freely across departments or on self-directed projects. Mousy and Harriman, 2003. The loose constraints spark new applications regularly, yielding billion-dollar businesses. Manufacturing. Toyota promotes continuous improvement through its and-on cord system, literally a pull cord on the assembly line, empowering any worker to stop production if an issue arises. Liker, 2004. Hearing occasional no's to production pushes to identify and fix problems on the front line, not in closed-door meetings. At Boeing, flat organizational structures seek dissenting opinions from all levels when evaluating major decisions. Friedman, 2011. No leaders actively solicit potential issues rather than assume consensus, catching errors early before costly mistakes. Healthcare. In hospitals, implementation of rapid response teams and checklists says no to preventable medical mistakes while boosting oversight of at-risk patients. Pronovost and Voer, 2010. Standardizing procedures through occasional no's fosters higher quality and fewer fatal errors. At the Cleveland Clinic, an innovation-focused culture invites no's by challenging top-down proposals, though constructive feedback. Cantor, 2006. Hearing critique leads to more resilient solutions benefiting both patients and organizational learning. Across industries, judicious no's from leaders foster autonomy, responsibility, and higher performance when balanced with appropriate oversight, participation, and justification. Saying yes too often can diminish self-sufficiency, while over-managing eliminates flexibility. No leadership navigates this nuanced middle ground effectively. Conclusion. Businesses increasingly require leadership styles supportive of today's knowledge workers. The old models of top-down control and yes-focused management are giving way to new approaches fostering empowerment, problem-solving, and innovation. By reframing occasional no's, not as restrictions, but rather boundaries enabling freedom, leaders can cultivate autonomy, engagement, creativity, and accountability across their organizations. The research clearly demonstrates that judicious use of constraints, properly balanced with oversight, results in higher performing, more responsible employees and better overall outcomes. Leaders would be wise to thoughtfully consider when and how no can be said to activate motivation, critical thinking, and ownership at their companies. While change can feel uncomfortable, adapting to these evidence-backed no leadership methods may well separate high performers of the future from those unable or unwilling to evolve with the times.